So welcome, Ryan K. Russell. I've never met you. It's an honor to finally, at least virtually meet.
Yes, it's an honor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being had, as I like to say. So what's going on? Anything new in your life?
Everything new in my
Yeah.
life, or at least everything has been revealed in my life. It's been a week now since I've come out publicly as bisexual, and I am the first active NFL player to come out as any member of the LGBTQ community. So it's been exciting, thrilling, freeing, pretty much all of the ings that I can think of.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds sort of delightful and fun the way you put it. But, the very fact that you're the single example right now, not only in the NFL, but baseball, hockey, basketball, kind of shows that as a society, we may have moved really far, really fast in terms of understanding that our brothers and sisters, whatever their sexual orientation, are beautiful and equal and deserving of love and deserving of being open about who they are, just as any of us are. But the fact that you're the only one, I think, that must have taken a lot of vulnerability and bravery. And I mean, that must be scary stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a process. I'm 27 now, and I was just ready to make this announcement and come out like 2 weeks ago. I think it was a week of preparation of me writing my first person narrative essay for ESPN, and me just telling everyone in my life that I was about to make this change, and really just start to try to be honest and open and vulnerable with the public. So yeah, it's
and with yourself. I mean, it's almost like we're secondary. Like reading that article on ESPN, which I think it seems to have gone pretty viral. It's beautiful writing, which we at Elephant have come to expect from you, but I think a lot of people don't know that about you or expect that from your average NFL player. It's I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's incredibly I don't know. I feel like when I was reading that essay, it feels a little bit like looking at those old cartoons where who is it? You're running, Woody Woodpecker runs off the cliff, and then it's just an air, and I don't think you're gonna fall, but there's gotta be this feeling of like you're just walking out and saying, this is who I am.
Yeah. Definitely.
Come what may, right?
Definitely. The letter started out kind of as a very personal confession. It had a bit of an apologetic tone to it. And then once I realized that this was something I wanted to share with the whole world, and ESPN, Kevin, who helped me write it, he's a great sports writer for ESPN, also an LGBTQ plus member. We sat down and we talked, and it was nice, but it was, like I said, it was apologetic. And there was where I was like, I shouldn't have to apologize for who I am. This shouldn't be a timid letter. This shouldn't be something where I'm asking permission. This shouldn't be something where I'm hoping people understand. So
what do you mean? What do you mean by apologetic? Like, sorry, I didn't let you know earlier, or?
Yeah, it was like, an apology to all the kids who maybe needed this, or needed an example a year ago. It was an apology to everyone in my family, maybe who I didn't let know me fully or know me closely. It was an apology to teammates. And like you said earlier, we tend to think of ourselves last, and it was really a letter more for everyone else. And then once I sat down and talked to Kevin, and he was like, there's great points in here, but write it for you, write it to you a year ago, and have your own back, basically, like be your own teammate, be your own best friend. And then I think that's when it made the biggest change into something that could really connect with everyone. I feel like not just sports fans and not just people in the community and not just other athletes, but with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's very powerful, and thanks to Kevin. Pass it along. Like, it's us being society who owes you and all your LGBTQ brothers and sisters an apology. The fact that you feel like, or anyone feels like they have to hide any part of who they are, especially when it's about love. Yeah. It's such a wholesome thing. I mean, it's just if you woke up in today's society and we're 27, you'd be like, it would feel like the most natural thing in the world to be gay or straight or whatever. Who cares? But we do care as a society, and we shouldn't. So we should apologize to you. That said, I think it's beautiful that you felt apologetic to like kids, you know, because there's probably so many kids who are going to feel so heartened and inspired, and you know, now they have a leader, you know, and there's been many other leaders that you took care to make clear. Billie Jean King, you know, in many sports, Arthur Ashe, right? But NFL, that's cracking the toxic masculinity ceiling right there.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. You know, we just got to, and even if I don't, you know, break the ceiling completely and shatter it, I mean, every crack helps, every knock helps, every fissure helps. So, I mean, that's kind of, and it's cool because it's really just a byproduct of me wanting to be open and honest and happy. You know, I didn't have to. Everyone wants to kind of doubt on, oh, you're sacrificing, or there's sacrifice, or there's, well, aren't you worried about being a distraction? Aren't you worried about, you know, A, B, and C? And it's like I am, but secondary to my happiness and my well-being. So it seems like I'm doing this grand thing, but really, I just want to be happy.
Yeah, good for you. Like I just took the time to reread your articles and your poems on elephant. Thank you so much for contributing. They've been amazing to be able to share with our readers. And you know, you talk about depression and you talk about shame and relationships and sex, and rereading them, knowing what we know now, it's like, wow, you feel this. You must feel 100 pounds lighter.
Yeah, definitely.
Which may not be a good thing. Considering the NFL, you want to be heavy, right? But
well, it's good because then I eat more and I don't feel ashamed or I don't feel upset about it.
There you go. There you
but
go.
no, yeah, there is this second layer kind of to all my writing, where, like I said, I'm sharing and I'm confessing, and to me, I know everything that went into it, but maybe, you know, everyone else doesn't. So even my mother, she reread my poetry book after, and she knew prior to me coming out, but she reread it just kind of with a different mindset, and she was like, "This is it's a different read." She's like, you know, it kind of strikes a different chord, and there is a lot, like you said, with shame in just religion, love, relationships, honesty, deception is a big part of my writing, and it just kind of takes on a different level when you know everything that you know about me now.
Yeah, I mean, you've really done this with grace, and grace is what they talk a lot about in church, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously, our church communities need to walk with more grace in terms of embracing the goodness of all human beings, not just those we view as okay. So you spent a lot of time growing up in church, right?
I did. My mother was not religious. It wasn't a religious household, but my adopted brother and I kind of found Christianity ourselves. It kind of started as all the Christian organizations in school had food after school, and we were hungry, so we just would go, get freaking free pizza, and they would have movies, and it was just kind of like this fun thing.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, and neither my brother nor I grew up with a father, so one of the first like services I attended talked about just having a heavenly father that you know, would come up and show up for you everywhere that your earthly father didn't. So that's kind of what got me into it. And I mean, everyone has their own experiences with religion and with the formal construct of religion just being, you know, the hierarchy and the structure of power there, and kind of the messages that each church has. And my experience wasn't always positive.
Yeah.
A great deal of it was negative, and a great deal of it made me feel worse about who I was. So there was a moment in time where I did kind of have to disconnect from that because I wasn't strong enough in my own self-love to be in that environment and just kind of take the message without listening to how it was delivered, or without blaming a messenger for an intention maybe that he didn't even have. So
yeah,
that's
say a little bit more about that. You say in your writing, you say, I was called in front of church and humiliated time and time again.
I had a moment in high school where the youth minister and I did not see eye to eye. He believed me to be a womanizer. He believed me to be a liar and a deceiver and a manipulator. And I mean, I was a teenager, so I mean, I wasn't perfect. By no means was I perfect. But a womanizer and a manipulator is a little harsh. And like I said, I was shamed. I was called in front of in front of the whole congregation. I was made an example of on a church trip. I was asked to leave, almost forced to leave early because of things like I was talking to girls, or I was late to meetings or late to service. Things, juvenile things that children do.
Sure.
But I thought the whole purpose of it was to accept, forgive, and to not turn people away. So that's just kind of my personal experience with it. I have many good friends who are devout Christians, who are devout Muslims, who are devout array of things. And I mean, as long as everyone comes with love and respect, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, and as we know, I think there's some quote about Christianity. It's a Christian quote that says, I think it's Christian, says, I know how close your relationship is to God by how kind you are. It's like, obviously there's such good people in church, and then there's people who come to church with all their confusion and their prejudice and their shame, and they put it on others. So shame is something, and depression, something a lot of us go through. Mm-hmm. You seem incredibly, like I said, graceful in this, what I would think would be an incredibly vulnerable, scary moment. How do you work with that? What was the process of going through that shame and that fear, if you had any, about coming out and just being who you are?
There was definitely, the shame is the first thing that I worked on, because no one's going to come out. No one's going to be honest. No one's going to be vulnerable. No one's going to show you the full spectrum of themselves if they're ashamed of it. It's just not in our nature as human beings, I believe. So you have to kind of discover why you're ashamed of it. Where did that come from? Is it something that you were taught? Is it something you learned? Why? What is creating you to feel this way? Because most of the time we don't wake up just shaming ourselves without a source. So I found the source. I didn't feel as though I was worthy of loving myself because I didn't have a father who loved me. I didn't feel worthy of love because I was told in church that who I was and the fact that I could love both men and women was wrong. I didn't love myself because I had been lied to and cheated on in relationships. And I thought, if my father can love me, if my pastor can love me, if these people who are with me all the time can love me, then I'm not lovable, which of course isn't the case. And everyone kind of comes into a relationship or friendship or any encounter with their own baggage. Yeah. And once you understand that their baggage is theirs, and they're just putting it on you, but it's not really yours, you kind of get over that shame aspect. Writing had a lot to do with getting over shame and fear for me, because it was a place where I could express a feeling in the safety of my own home, in the confidence of just me and the pen and paper, really be honest and vulnerable. And then I could either share or I could not. I could just read it to a friend or send it to my brother, or I could put it online. And the feedback was always positive, and I always kind of felt better when I confessed by writing, when I confessed in paper and in pen, or when I confessed on the internet. And it was helping people. People were telling me that they felt connected to me, that they felt like they really knew me, and they saw me, and they felt for me, and that I was helping them get through something or connecting with them. And I published my book, Prisoner of Passion, April 26th, on my mother's birthday. And
just a little commercial, because I've read your writing. It's fantastic, and it does give you that feeling of catharsis and connection. Mm-hmm. All great writers have that ability to somehow just connect in a basic human way. How do we find that book?
It is available, I'm pretty sure, online everywhere. Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. It's online pretty much everywhere. I think I have one right here. Yeah, it's from, the publisher is Jack Wild's publishing company, by Christopher Poindexter and his brothers, an amazing poet himself.
Yeah.
And this is my baby. I'm a single father to this poetry book.
Prison of Passion.
Yeah, Prison or Passion. Yeah.
Or Passion.
And it's, I mean, even the title is just representative of everything that I've been through. It's the parts of myself, honestly, that make me me, and that give me my color and my flair, and make me a talented writer, and make me a great football player, and make me a loving son, a loyal brother, a great friend. Those were things that I was told at one point were wrong or were bad, or those are the things that I hid because I didn't want people to see them. Those were my prison. But really, they're the things that feed my passion. They're the things that feed my writing, that feed my relationships, that feed my talents and my abilities. So the book is kind of a journey through that.
Yeah. You make it sound so easy. I mean, that journey, I think, is valuable. Like, I need to read your book, clearly, because going from shame, especially without a lot of support, maybe the church wasn't supporting you as well as it could have, going through that journey of shame to, I'm in the Buddhist community, it's what we call Maitri, making friends with yourself. That can be hard. And we own that shame. We stick it really far down, and it's hard to ask yourself, like, why am I shameful? And it's hard to get to where it seems like you really are so loving and loving of yourself now.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not, I mean, I knew I was doing this interview today, so I definitely, talked myself up and geared up for it.
Yeah.
It's not something that I just wake up and I feel this way. It's not something that's 24/7, but it's something that I work at 24/7.
Yeah.
It might not be how I wake up in the morning, but I make damn sure it's how I fall asleep.
Yeah.
And it's constantly loving yourself. Loving yourself isn't just you feel it and it's done. Loving yourself is action. Loving yourself is putting in the work. Loving yourself is doing things for yourself, making sure on yourself, checking on yourself, taking care of yourself, talking.
Yeah.
I talk to myself all the time. People can think I'm crazy. I don't
Yeah.
care. If I need to hear someone just loving on me or telling me positive things, then why can't I be that person?
No, it's super helpful. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm Buddhist. We don't do a lot of talking to ourselves. We meditate.
Yes.
We have contemplations and whatever. But I've found, especially when I have a really emotional reaction and it seems almost inappropriately heightened, like I freak out about something, I've started talking to myself in the last couple of years. I'm like, Waylon, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way? And your heart and your mind do respond. I mean, you can be quite intelligent and thoughtful in there if you loosen up those knots, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're both very intellectual beings, and I feel as though sometimes has gotten me in trouble. I feel as though I've rationalized irrational things, and I've told myself I'm smart. I'm intelligent. Like if I can make it make sense, then it must be true. But it's not always like that. My mind is very powerful, and if I do not get it on the same side as me, then it can attack me, and it can be my worst enemy.
Or your best friend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so beautiful what you said, that it's an active thing. Love is never, whether it's Martin Luther King Jr., love is not passive. Love is active. Love is strong.
Definitely.
It's stronger than hate, but it can take a little, you have to cultivate it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you get in a relationship and you tell your partner "I love you" once and never tell them again, then they're not gonna feel loved. It's like, wait, don't you love me? Like it's like, yeah, I told you that already. Like
Yeah.
we're good. That box is checked. It's like, no, you need to keep working at that.
So in one of the interviews I just watched, you were on CNN this morning, very early in the morning, I understand.
Very early.
Like 12 hours ago or something. I love you were talking about, and it made me think of Michael Jordan or Chris Sharma in the climbing world. So in every sport, there's players who maybe they aren't in better shape. Everyone's in great shape.
No.
But something about them makes them excellent, makes them a champion. And it's kind of what you talked about this morning. It's that mental edge, or that, there's something else going on.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to connect this to NFL, because you're saying on some level, this will make you a better teammate, a better player. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Definitely. I think in pro sports, the word distraction has come up with the LGBTQ community and just the media, and how, since there are not many of us, I guess not any of us right now,
not openly, yeah.
Distraction, but really the only distraction is the mental strain and stress that you put on yourself, repressing who you are 24/7 when you're in an environment where, one, you're going to be with your teammates and your coaches more than you're with your family during the season. These people need to know you in some level to trust you and to make sure that you're accountable, and so they know, hey, this guy's putting in the same amount of work I'm putting in. We can see eye to eye. We can talk man to man, and we are going to go on the field and we're going to do what we have to do for the team. And when you're constantly hiding or repressing or fearing, I know some people in the community, not even in sports, fear being found out. That is counterproductive to everything that you need to do to be an elite level athlete. It's counterproductive to focusing, to preparing, to being confident. How can I be confident in my ability as a football player? I'm not even confident in who I am as a human being. It's just doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I'm a big basketball fan, so like and I'm dating myself, obviously. Jordan was like the king of when I was young. And, he poured every ounce of who he was into wanting to win. And if you're being burdened by not being able to be who you are openly, that's such a distraction. But again, I would put a lot of the blame on us and on media. We're kind of we're saying you're going to be a distraction because we're going to want to write constantly about you and ask questions like, how is it going to be in the locker room? Like we're the ones who are, society is the distraction. You're just someone who is being open about who you are, despite all the prejudice going on. So I would just, it's our issue, not yours. And I wish you all success. I think, for this to be a fully happy ending, I need to see you sacking some quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm definitely down.
Yeah.
And I don't blame the media personally, and I don't blame the NFL. No. I don't think the NFL is this villain in the story that is not receptive to LGBT players. I just think we haven't worked together yet. I think there hasn't been an open athlete that they've had the opportunity to support. Like I said, I know Michael Sam came out before he got drafted. I don't know much about his personal journey in the league, but I would have loved to see him play on Sundays and just see a team really work with him as a player and work with him off the field to limit the media. Because I mean, there's always something. There's social injustice. There's all types of things that happen in the NFL, and teams, that's what they do. Teams protect their players protect their teams. So I've been very adamant in every interview. I do not want to come off of a practice field where I just sweated and gave my heart for my team and be asked about my sexuality. I don't want to do it. I believe that there are PR people and there are people in the organization that can help me make that come true. And that can tell reporters, we're not answering these kind of questions. And if you do ask these questions, Russ will leave the situation. Like, I don't want my starting quarterback who's getting ready to play against a top defense to be asked, hey, how's it feel having a locker next to a bisexual football player? At that point, we can leave. Like, that's not the conversation I want to have at work.
Yeah. I mean, I would want to imagine too that, the camaraderie and the friendships you develop, everyone's going to have your back on this.
No.
It's not going to be a distraction. They're going to respect and care about you, and it's going to come down to your play, and you've healed from your shoulder injury, it sounds like, and it's all roses. So I guess I mean, I keep thinking of Jackie Robinson in talking about this because, however many years ago that was, 60 years ago or something now, he had this burden of being the first very publicly recognized African-American to play in a major league sport. And it's a very similar dynamic. I mean, it's a huge distraction because of society and the media. And at the same time, he kind of kept his head down, at least for the first couple of years, and just was excellent,
Sure. Yeah, I think it's funny because to normalize something, there's like a few things that go against it. It's like, to normalize something, we make a big deal out of it. And it's like, that's the opposite of normalizing. And of course, if you're the first, especially in the case of Jackie Robinson, you have to be excellent. Like, you have to be extraordinary. And in no way would I put my story with his just because I don't ever want to get in that. But I just want to play football. And I feel like the great part about my situation is that I have been playing football on the professional level. And I have been a great teammate, and I have made the big plays, and I have helped the team win and create a winning culture. And I did all that being bisexual. People just didn't know. So it's like literally nothing changes other than the fact that now people just know me a little bit.
And that you'll be able to put all of your energy into the football.
Exactly. And my best football is definitely ahead of me. Like, I have zero doubt about that in my mind.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that you say, you're not trying to put yourself with Jackie or the others, because you are, frankly, from the outside, you are a hero. You're a hero to me and to many, many, many people. And all those other examples are heroes. But the fact that you're making it very clear in your ESPN letter and elsewhere that that's not any part of the motivation. You're not doing this for a media circus. Yeah. You're not doing this for your ego. You're doing this for your own love and for your boyfriend and for your just to be a whole human being.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
You're doing it with grace, man. You're doing it with grace.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I had one final question, but I might have lost it. So I guess I was going to ask, like, you seem very comfortable talking about it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to talk about it in the NFL context. So it's just sort of like compartmentalizing a little bit. Like, we're here to play football. Let's stay focused.
I mean, yeah, but guys do that. That is what guys do. You don't see like a Jason Witten talking about his wife and his kids, when he just off the practice field.
Yeah, right.
In that sense, it's just the same, because I don't want to do that as well. I want to talk about football. Obviously, there's an opportunity for real change, and there's an opportunity to kind of extend the olive branch to the NFL and to professional sports and the LGBTQ community, and I see that as well. I just believe that right now my biggest mission, or the biggest way that I could help, is to be visible on the field Sundays and help a team win. I think out of anything else I could do right now, that would be the biggest thing. So that's my sole mission at this point. Yeah,
that you're playing awesome football, we're applauding in a bar or whatever, and then at the end of the day, maybe we're like, oh, right, was that you barely even think about it.
Exactly.
It just becomes normalized. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the unifying power, the magic of sports, is that suddenly you have people all over the world cheering on players who, in many cases, are different religions, different nationalities, different, everything.
For sure. And like you said, they make a play and you win, and you're like, oh, wait, was that the guy? Oh, who cares? He's a baller, bro. Who cares?
He's my team.
He's one of us. Like, he's on our team. He's one of, it's all good.
Yeah. That's awesome. Great. Well, I hope everyone goes and buys your book, because we want to encourage you to stay active as an athlete with your pen. Prison, I got the name wrong. Prison or Passion. And Russ, thank you so much for your, I'm so happy for you to get to just wake up and just be you fully.
I appreciate it, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Maybe as a final post note, I read there was some famous blogger who nearly outed you.
Mm-hmm.
Just reading that, it's like so painful. You're like, wow, this is like way too much drama that like no one deserves this. So I'm glad you don't have to deal with that anymore.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like I said, I walk on the streets, hold my boyfriend's hand, and don't think twice. It's been great.
Good man. Awesome. Well, Russ, thank you so much for your time and for you being you fully. And check out your writing on Elephant and with your book.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.